Hello guys, so recently we have put out a fashion film named UKIYO from EKODA Productions, and some of you guys wanted to know how I color graded the video. By the way, I don't claim myself to be a professional colorist or so. I just like to color grade my own video by the knowledge that I've gathered from various sources over the years. So this is completely my take on how I color grade my footages. Anyway, let's get started. So this is the first clip. By the way, I've shot this on Fujifilm X-T3 in f-log 10-bit. So this first adjustment layer will be where I put my Rec 709 conversion LUT. This is Portra 160 film. So these are actually LUTs that I've purchased. These LUTs are specifically for Fujifilm cameras. So I've applied this Portra 160 film LUT. So right off the bat it looks really nice, contrast is good. So after this what I do is go to the original clip. So firstly what I did is reduce the saturation on the yellows and reds, and change the hue of this red. As you can see, it's a more yellowish now, so push this up to gain the red spec. After that, on the second lumetri panel, what I've done is the HSL secondary panel, I've selected everything else apart from the skin tones and the colors that are close to the skin tones. So that would be the oranges, reds and yellows. So apart from that, I've selected all other colors and pushed the hue towards kind of greenish blue, a teal kind of color. So what it does to the footage is it gives a little bit of color contrast. After applying these changes, especially in the trees, the greens really popped out, the muted greens here. So before it was kind of yellowish, and now so that's how I did it. And this second adjustment layer is basically what I've put is a plugin from Red Giant, Magic Bullet Looks. So here I've added the diffusion, so it gives a little bit of glow, little bit of bloom in the highlights, as you can see here. So in this clip, similarly I've added the Portra 160 LUT in this adjustment layer and the diffusion on the second adjustment layer. So it will be same for all the clips here. So I'm gonna show the individual changes that I made to the clip. So here what I've done is firstly I've brightened up the subject here. I've used a mask around the subject and just brightened up the image using the curves. The second lumetri panel, what I've done is pull down the saturation here, as you can see, of the yellows and reds, similar to the previous one. And in this third lumetri panel, I've again selected the other parts of the frame except the skin tones and the hues closer to it, and push a little green, tealish green. It gives this kind of color contrast. And then in the final lumetri panel, what I've done, selected the skin tones and gave it a little bit of boost, a little bit of punch. I've added a little bit of orange to the skin tones. It's a small change, but it really pops out the skin tones from the background. In this clip, what I did was, apart from applying the LUT and the diffusion, it was quite underexposed. So firstly what I did was brighten up the image by using curves, and then in the HSL secondary panel I've selected the greens. So actually originally it was kind of bland, the colors were not popping and it was kind of flat. So I selected these greenish yellow, as you can see, and push some more greens so that we can get a color separation. And then in the second panel I have brightened up the subject even more, mask out the skin tones, and then pushed a little brightness and orange in the skin tones. So in this final image, as you can see, it's quite different from the previous ones. The colors are really muted here. So what I've done is, apart from applying the LUT and the diffusion, so firstly I have brightened up the image a little bit, and then so I use a mask to select the subject and brighten her up a little bit more. In the final lumetri panel, what I've done is select the hues apart from the skin tones, and then same as previous, I pushed some greens and teal. It's mostly affecting the shadow areas here, as you can see. So yeah, so before, after. So that's how I color graded UKIYO. And if you'd like to see how I color grade from scratch, please let me know. I'll make another video about it. So yeah, thank you.